Texas dealer records. All records must be maintained and easily accessible to the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles personnel by anyone that holds a Texas motor vehicle dealer license. All records, including retail and wholesale transactions, must be kept a minimum of 48 months. That's 4 years. All current records and records from the previous 13 months must be kept at the licensed dealership location. Records that are older than 13 months can be stored at another location other than the licensed dealership. You may not store the previous 13 months records at an off-site location. They must be stored at the dealership. Federal law requires some records, such as Federal Trade Commission buyer's guide copies and odometer disclosure statement copies, to be kept for a minimum of 5 years. You're going to be starting a very extensive paper trail when you obtain your Texas used motor vehicle dealer's license. The most important piece of office equipment that you're going to need in your new business will be a copy machine or a scanner. You're going to create and store copies of every document related to the purchase and sale of every vehicle. If you're thinking about throwing away a document that relates to the operation of your dealership, don't throw it away. Make a copy of it. Records may be kept in electronic format or hard paper copy. If you are storing your records electronically, it is imperative that you have multiple backups. If all your records are stored on only one computer and that computer's hard drive fails, you would not have your records and you would not be in compliance with the law. Records like the names, addresses, dates, VINs, etc., may be kept in a database, and no paper copy is required if they're available for inspection and are capable of being printed out for inspection by the DMV representative at the dealership during normal business hours. Original vehicle titles in the possession of the dealer that aren't being held by a lien holder should be kept in a very secure location. If the original title is kept by a floor planner, the dealer is required to keep a copy of the front and the back of the title at the dealership. Texas retail motor vehicle dealers are required to keep, at minimum, the following records either via paper or electronically for all vehicles purchased, leased, or sold: retail installment agreement, sales contract or bill of sale, which would include the date of sale, the vehicle description, including the year, make, and model, the vehicle identification number, which we call the VIN, the name and address of the person purchasing the vehicle, the sales price, all other fees and charges that are a total cost of the vehicle, including the trade-in, payoff of trade-in, extended warranty, insurance, etc. A copy of the application for Texas title after it's filled out and signed by the buyer and seller, and that's Form 130-U. This form may be obtained by your tax collector's office or your VTR office, or you can easily download that form as well. Tax collectors receive for the title application, which is sometimes what we call the white slip. This is an important document which can prove you did apply for title on that sold vehicle. A copy of the Federal Trade Commission buyer's guide, which is also known as your as-is statement, odometer disclosure statement, a copy of the front and back of the title signed by the buyer and the seller. Also, a power of attorney if it's required to complete the titling process, and we'll cover powers of attorney later on in the course. VTR Form 136, county of title issuance, on which that consumer elects which county they desire to have their vehicle registered in. Copy of other forms may be necessary depending on the type of sale and will need to be kept as a part of the dealer's records. Most of those forms can be obtained by your tax assessor collector's office or your local vehicle titles and registration office or their respective websites. VTR forms can be found right on the DMV website. Forms involving taxes may be obtained from the state comptroller's office or its website. Other records. The dealer's reassignment of title for a motor vehicle form, that's Form VTR-41A, should be used if all available assignments on the back of a Texas title are signed or the negotiable title is from another state or foreign country. Texas Motor Vehicle Sales Tax Exemption Certificate. For vehicles taken out of state, that's Comptroller Form 14-312. It's used if the vehicle is sold to someone who claims they are taking it out of the state or the country, whether the transaction is a wholesale or retail sale. The original must be kept with the sales file with a copy in the comptroller and a copy to the buyer. Since dealers are required to apply for vehicle titles This form is an important record that proves the consumer advised the selling dealer that the vehicle was leaving the state. Texas motor vehicle seller financed sales tax, or sometimes we call it the surcharge report. That's Comptroller Form 14-117, which must be filed monthly by seller financers. And that form is also available on the Comptroller's website. All wholesale motor vehicle transactions must keep at minimum the following records, either via paper or electronically, for all vehicles purchased, leased, and sold: a purchase record, bill of sale, sales contract, or auction receipt showing the date of the purchase, the vehicle identification number, that's your VIN, the name and address of the seller and the mileage statement, a photocopy of both sides of the negotiable title after reassigned to the licensed dealer following any wholesale transaction would be required as well. Odometer disclosure statement, if the odometer disclosure is not integrated right into the title. Texas motor vehicle sales tax resale certificate is to be filled out, signed by the buying dealer, and kept in the dealer's sales file. Do not send the completed certificate to the comptroller on that one. When the state comptroller audits your records, the auditor will want to see this form in your records. Form 14-313 is available from the state comptroller's office. The following records for consignment sales transaction should be kept as well: a written consignment agreement for the vehicle or a power of attorney covering that vehicle. A written consignment agreement should be completed by the licensed dealer and made part of the sales file. A copy of the title should be at the dealer's license location for inspection by the buyer or a DMV representative. It is recommended that the copy of the title be attached to the consignment agreement. All record-keeping requirements for the actual sale of a consignment vehicle are the same as those of a retail sale. In addition to the records required to be maintained under Texas law, you are also required to maintain, at minimum, the following records under federal law, which are going to be covered in greater detail later in the course. So these records have to be kept for a period of 5 years. Copies of Federal Trade Commission buyer's guides for every vehicle sold. Copies of cash reporting IRS Form 8300, if applicable, and we'll cover that form later on. Odometer disclosure statements for vehicles. Written Federal Trade Commission red flags policy. Copies of any forms related to the Truth in Lending Act, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, or the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Privacy Act. Office of Foreign Asset Control filings must be kept a minimum of 5 years as well. So always, as a reminder, be sure to make front and back copies of every title to every vehicle you purchase and sell. Inspection of records by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Enforcement investigators and MVD personnel. Your records must be kept ready to produce for inspection by a Texas Department of Motor Vehicle investigator or MVD personnel at all times. The Occupations Code specifically allows the department to inspect the books and records of a license holder in connection with the performance of its duties under the law. An investigator may show up at your lot and expect to see your records there, or they may request copies to be sent by certified mail. Commonly, investigators send written requests for records, and license holders have 15 days to respond. If a license holder fails to respond, then it can lead to a violation and civil penalties. By having a Texas dealer's license, you're giving the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles the right to inspect your records at any time. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Board may issue a subpoena if the records are not produced for inspection within 15 business days of the request. And that's according to the Texas Administrative Code, Title 14, Subtitle A, Chapter 2301. During a records inspection, the Texas Department of Motor Vehicle investigator may arrive unannounced during your posted hours of operation. If either, an owner or partner is not staffing the dealership during the posted hours, or an official employee, this could lead to the suspension or revocation of a dealer's license. Remember, state law does require that the dealership is staffed during those posted hours. All records shall be available for reasonable inspection within 15 business days of the request. Your dealership has to be staffed. It's this Texas law. Next, I want to talk about the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Board. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Board conducts hearings at least 4 times a year. However, it might meet more frequently depending on the current needs. And They review, approve, and rescind new rules. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Board consists of 9 members, and it's a part of the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. The 9 members are appointed by the Texas governor, then confirmed by the Texas Senate. The governor selects 1 member of the board to chair the board, and the members of the board elect the vice chair of the board. Texas law requires 3 members of the board to be licensed motor vehicle dealers. 2 of the dealers are new franchise motor vehicle dealers, and 1 must be an independent non-franchise dealer. The board must also include 1 member that is a representative of a franchisor or a manufacturer, 1 member that is a tax assessor or collector, 1 member must be a law enforcement officer from a county or a city, and 1 member must be a representative of a motor carrier industry, and 2 members must be from the general public. So members of the Texas Board serve staggered 6-year terms, and that's according to the Texas Occupations Code 2302.001. The board shall oversee and coordinate the development of the department and shall ensure that the components of the motor vehicle industry actually function as a system. So the board considers ways in which the Department of Motor Vehicles operations may be improved and may periodically report to the legislature concerning potential statutory changes that would improve operation of the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. The board also approves rules that are required under recently passed legislation. So you can view the board schedule and the agenda at the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles website. That's TxDMV.gov. You know, as a licensed Texas motor vehicle dealer, you will need to be aware of the very important functions of the board as their actions affect the operation of every Texas motor vehicle dealership. They meet at least 4 times a year in Austin. If you ever have a chance to attend a board meeting or watch a board meeting online, you will find it very, very educational. We have completed this unit, and in this unit, we have learned that dealers must display their license, the dealers must act ethically, or the license could be suspended. The dealer license may also be denied, and we learned about the disciplinary fine matrix, the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Enforcement Division. We covered dealer complaints and dealer insurance, the retail contractor bill of sale, odometer disclosure and tampering. We covered sales to minors, also showed you how to maintain your dealer records, and talked about inspection of records by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles personnel, along with important roles and responsibilities of the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Board. Once again, I want to remind you that all the videos in this course are available for you to view after the course at TexasDealers.com. Just scroll down to the bottom of any page and click on the Texas Dealer videos to find any video that you would like to review.